Hi, my name is Hermione, and I'm from Greece. Please like and subscribe. My dad left before I was born, but I grew up with the most amazing mom, who was a hairdresser at a really fancy salon. But when I was 10, I ran into the salon one day to show Mom my report card while she was working on a beautiful woman. Suddenly, I tripped over something and went flying straight into Mom, who ended up snipping off half the woman's hair. And she went ballistic. "You moron! What have you done? I look like a hideous boy. Oh, I'll make sure you never work in this town again." And before I knew it, Mom was fired. I was really sorry, but she wouldn't hear it. "It was an accident, darling. Don't worry. I'll find another job." But the woman wasn't kidding. Mom couldn't get a job anywhere in town as a hairdresser. And soon enough, we were too broke to even make rent. Then one day, Mom said she'd talk to her older sister and we'd be moving to another town to live with her. I'd never met this aunt before, and when we got to her house, my jaw dropped. Her mansion looked as big as the Parthenon. As a maid let us in, a plump woman dressed in expensive clothes walked into the hall. My aunt! I rushed forward to hug her, but she stopped me. "What are you doing? Don't touch me. Just do a curtsy." Who was she? The freaking wife of Zeus? Just then, a pretty girl about my age came running in, and she stomped on my foot. "You're ugly. I can't believe you're my cousin." Wow, I had to live with these people now? Of all the rooms in the mansion, Aunt gave me and my mom the dusty old attic to share. And at dinner time, I could feel her eyes on me as I helped myself to more food. She seemed to be the cheapest millionaire ever, but I promised I'd behave well and not cause Mom any trouble, which was easier said than done. My cousin Lydia was a year older than me, and I soon discovered that Aunt was obsessed with making her a model. One day, I found Lydia balancing a pile of books on her head, while her trainer screamed at her to walk straight without dropping them. The very next second, they all came crashing. "Lydia, you have no balance, no grace. How will you be a model? You, skinny girl, come try this." To my surprise, I walked across the room with the books easily. Lydia angrily tried again, and this time, she went crashing into a very expensive vase. "Mom, look what Hermione did!" "What?" Aunt came charging into the room like an angry bull, and no matter how much I protested, she wouldn't hear a word. And she actually took money from Mom to pay for it, which was her 2 months' salary. Gosh, Aunt was such a witch. Soon after, Mom got me enrolled in the same school as Lydia. On the very first day, I'd just sat down at the cafeteria, where she and her friends joined me. "We thought we'd give you company. You've clearly made no friends." "I'm fine, actually." "So, Lydia tells us you're her maid's daughter? It's so amazing that her mom is paying for your school." "What? No, she's not. My mom is..." "Ew, your mom packed you meatballs for lunch? So uncool. We only eat salads." "Well, I guess you have to watch what you're eating." Suddenly, Lydia leapt forward angrily and rubbed my lunch all over my face. "Did you just call me fat? Call me that again, and I will end you." With that, she and her friends walked away. I wanted to kick her butt so bad, but I didn't want to get into trouble. I just tried to keep my head down and focus on my studies. But Lydia and her friends would find some way to bully me. And it didn't help that I looked really bad in Lydia's oversized hand-me-downs. When Lydia's 15th birthday came around, Aunt threw her a huge birthday bash. And even though she had tons of servants, she made me slave away in the kitchen too. I finally managed to escape and snuck up to the table with a plate. Just then, Lydia came running and snatched it. "What do you think you're doing?" "Are you stupid? I'm about to eat, so give that back." "No, it's my birthday and I decide who eats, and you can't." "Oh, yes, I will." "What you gonna do? Go crying to Mommy, you big baby?" "What did you just call me?" "I said, you're a big baby." With that, I grabbed a chunk of cake and threw it at her face. She pounced on me and we went crashing straight into the food table. As we threw food at each other, Lydia's friends also joined in and a food fight broke out. When Aunt arrived at the scene, she started screaming like a maniac and all the kids fled, while Lydia burst into tears that her birthday was ruined. And then Aunt turned to me. You clean up this mess right now, or I'll throw you and your mother out tonight." "Do what you like, you miserable creature. I'm not cleaning." I grabbed some food, dashed to my room, and locked myself up. Oh God, what had I just done? A few hours passed and no one came to my room. I was beginning to get worried why Mom wasn't home yet, so I snuck down quietly to find her wiping the walls and floors clean. Mom, why are you doing that? I'm really sorry. I'll do it. It's okay, Hermione. I feel awful that you have to live here because I can't afford a place. I promise, someday we'll leave, but we can't just yet. You don't have to feel bad about anything. I'll be good. I'll even say sorry to Aunt. But I don't understand how you two are even related. We never got along, even as kids. She always wanted to have everything I had. Now she has so much more, and she's still a witch. We both burst out laughing as we cleaned the mess. I'd put up with anything as long as I had Mom by my side. But after the birthday, Lydia and her friends were being a lot meaner at school. One day during recess, she and her friends started hounding me in the corner. Hey, Twiggy, you're light as a stick, I'm sure. Oh, she is. Why don't you go see for yourself? Suddenly, the guy just picked me up as I kicked and screamed. Let me go! Put me down right now! But they threw me in the janitor's closet and locked it. Just then, I heard them all running off, and seconds later, the principal opened the door. He'd seen everything, and he punished the bullies by suspending them for a week. And when I got home, who was Aunt furious at? Me! It's your fault my darling was suspended. She's just a kid, and she's never been punished for anything in her life. I'm a kid too, and she got punished for bullying me. Well, if she's getting punished, you will too. You'll serve all the guests at my party tomorrow, or else. I didn't want Mom to suffer again, so I kept my mouth shut. Aunt's party was full of super rich friends, and I was busy serving them when a lady caught up with me. Hi, you're really pretty. Are you interested in modeling? Before I could answer, Aunt interrupted. Her? A model? No. She's just a maid. Don't waste your time on her. But you're naturally built for a model. You're perfect. I can see you being Miss World, I tell you. Turns out the lady was the owner of a big fashion magazine, and she wanted to have me as her cover page model. What? That was supposed to be Lydia, not this stupid maid. Well, darling, I'm sorry. Lydia isn't fit for my magazine. Aunt went totally bonkers. She grabbed the woman's drink and threw it in her face. Then she started screaming at everyone. Party's over. Everyone, get out. And you're grounded. But when I told Mom later all about it, she was so excited. She insisted we'd go together to meet this woman. We went to the lady's office the very next day, and she was really happy that I showed up. She immediately signed me up for a big magazine shoot. I woke up super pumped on the day, but seconds later, I was screaming at my reflection. That witch Lydia had chopped off my hair in my sleep. I looked terrible. But Mom came to the rescue. She gave me a beautiful pixie cut, and the magazine lady absolutely loved it. And I totally nailed the shoot. Everyone thought I was a natural. Within the next 6 months, I was on lots of magazine covers and billboards, and suddenly, things at school changed too. I was no longer the skinny kid with hand-me-downs. I was the popular model kid now, with a wardrobe that fit me just right. And the best part was watching Lydia burn. A few weeks later, there was a fashion show at school, and Lydia immediately signed up for it too. On the day of the event, I decided to take a quick shower in the gym before getting ready. But as I stepped out, I saw to my horror that Lydia had gathered all my clothes, and she just grinned at me and she walked out. Oh my God, what was I gonna do without any clothes? I looked around and the only thing I saw were the curtains. I quickly pulled them down and made them into a dress with safety pins, and it didn't look half bad. Lydia looked shocked when I walked down the ramp in my curtain dress and blew her a kiss. When I was announced as the winner, she went insane. She literally jumped on me, trying to snatch the trophy away. She would have poked my eye out if some teachers hadn't rescued me. That night, I was walking down to the kitchen when I heard Lydia and Aunt talking about me. Just make her go away, Mom. I can't stand her anymore. She's ruining my life. Okay, baby. I'll get rid of her somehow. You know, I got rid of her father too a long time ago. Wait, what? Got rid of my father? Is that what you just said? What are you doing here? Can't I have some privacy in my own house? Just shut up and tell me what you meant about Dad. Yes, I got rid of him. After my stupid husband left me, I fell in love with your father, but he fell head over heels in love with your stupid mom. I couldn't stand it. So I convinced him that your mom was pregnant with someone else's child and he left. If I couldn't have him, no one could. While I stared at her speechless, I heard Mom behind me. How could you do this to me? All these years, I thought it was him, but it was actually you. Are you completely crazy? Why should you have everything? You didn't deserve him anyway. I would have given him the world. But before she could finish, Mom leapt forward and slapped her hard. You've had this coming for a long time. Come, Hermione. We aren't staying here another minute. We packed our bags and checked into a hotel for a few days. We decided that the first thing we had to do was track down Dad. Mom started calling up their mutual contacts, and luckily, we found out soon that Dad lived in another city now, and that he owned a $1 million company. My dad was a millionaire? The very next day, we flew over and showed up at his company. Mom asked me to wait outside while she went to talk to him in his office. Half an hour later, Mom called me excitedly. As soon as Dad saw me, he hugged me tight. I can't believe you're my daughter. This is a lot to take in. I'm so sorry for leaving. I should have been there for you. I never should have believed your aunt's lies. I never want to spend another minute without you both. He then showed us a picture of Mom in his wallet and said he'd never gotten married because he'd never loved anyone the same way again. Soon after we moved in with Dad, I planned a wedding for my parents because they never got the chance earlier. I decided to personally invite Aunt, so I went to her place. Come begging for a place to stay again, haven't you? I handed her the wedding card. I'm rich enough to buy your house now, but that's not why I'm here. The wedding is next week. You and your daughter can come to witness that true love can't be separated, but evil people always end up alone in a big house. You are the best example. I walked out and I never saw her again. I was my mom's bridesmaid at the wedding, and it was the happiest moment of my life to see her get everything she truly deserved. And now I'm living my best life with my family.
I always thought I had a normal life, a good life. I had amazing friends and lived in an awesome house with a pool. I always thought that I lived with the greatest parents in the world, but apparently they were hiding some pretty dark secrets. By dark secrets, I wish I was talking about hidden siblings or credit card debts. In reality, my loving parents were actually my kidnappers, who hid me away from my real mom for years. It's a little more complicated than that, though. Before I start, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Otherwise, your favorite celebrity will be kidnapped. Maybe if someone subscribed to this channel a little sooner, I wouldn't be in this mess. I don't remember too much from when I was really young, except that we moved around a lot. My first memories started when I was around 3 or 4, and I just remember moving to a new house every few months. Our moves were always sudden, and sometimes I would have to leave right in the middle of something. I always thought it was perfectly normal, but in retrospect, it was all a little weird. I remember this one time in particular very vividly. I was going to a birthday party of my friend from the park. I can't even remember her name, but I can remember that it was the first birthday party I was ever attending. There was cake and balloons, and they even hired a face painter. I was in the middle of getting my face painted like a tiger when my parents just picked me up and told me we had to go. I was crying so much, but they just picked me up and left the party without so much as saying goodbye to the birthday girl. I cried so hard the paint got all over my clothes. Luckily, the painter only managed to get half of my face. My dad always said he had to move for work, and I didn't really question it further. Still, I missed out on a lot of things kids got to do. I didn't go to school for a really long time, and I never really made any friends in my childhood. I got so used to moving every few months that I didn't even unpack my room. I wasn't bitter about it, though. If my parents said we had to move for work, I just believed them. As I got older, these random moves got much less frequent. After we managed to stay in the same place for a whole year, my parents decided to buy a house. It was my dream come true. It was huge. 4-bedroom, a pool, a trampoline, and it was in a neighborhood full of kids my age. I was just about to start middle school when we got to the house, so it was the perfect time for me to really make some friends. Among all the friends I made, my best friend was Susan. Susan and I loved watching YouTube videos together. We loved watching true dramas like on My Story Animated, among others. We came across one video that seemed to change our lives forever. Our favorite channel had posted a video about a girl who went missing over 10 years ago. One day, a 2-year-old had been playing out in the garden when she just completely vanished. The story was so eerie and a little sad. A woman had just lost her husband in an accident. Her daughter was all she had, and then she vanished from her life without a trace when she was playing in her own backyard. Officers made this a cold case years ago, but the mom was still looking. She made billboards and traveled around, never giving up hope. The video transitioned to a slide showing a photo of the girl when she was taken, and a Photoshop picture of what she would look like now. Susan immediately paused the video. "Carly, that looks just like you." "Yeah, what are the odds?" I tried to laugh off. "Pretty slim," she said. She was right. That girl in that photo was undeniably me. We spent the next few hours looking up more about this story. It turned out she disappeared on my birthday, was the same age as me, and even had the same birthmark. When it was time to eat dinner with my parents, Susan and I were uncharacteristically quiet. "So, girls, what have you been up to all day?" my mom asked. "Nothing." She asked why we were acting so weird, and we just told her we were fine. I asked her if I could spend the night at Susan so we could go study. Susan and I continued to research the topic at our house and found only more incriminating evidence. We didn't know what we should do, so we asked Susan's older brother for some advice. At first, he thought we were being crazy, but when he read into it, he said we needed to do something. He was going to make a call to some of his cop friends and get more information on this missing girl. Months had passed, and I started forgetting all about the searches. Maybe it was because I was getting so invested in high school, but part of me just didn't want it to be true. Ignoring it was easier than anything else. Susan and I were eating lunch when a teacher came and approached me. She told me my parents were here to pick me up for a doctor's appointment. I didn't know I had a doctor's appointment that day. When I arrived at my parents' car, it was clear something was wrong. When I got into the car, I noticed there were blankets covering loads of stuff in the back seat. There were bags packed, and both of my parents were visibly distraught. "This is an awful lot of stuff to go to the doctor's," I said. My parents looked at me and said that my father's brother had gotten into a very bad accident, and they didn't want me to find out through the teacher. We were going to drive a few states away and take care of him for the time being. I didn't even know I had an uncle. There was obviously something fishy about this. They told me to text Susan to let her know I'd be staying with my uncle for a bit. After I did that, my father took my phone out of my hand. I asked why he was taking it, and he simply said that my uncle's pacemaker was disrupted by certain electrical signals. This meant I couldn't use Wi-Fi the entire time we stayed with his family. This didn't seem right to me, but when I tried to argue that hospitals had Wi-Fi, they just shut me down and told me to behave. Because they were so upset, I just let it go. I assumed we would only be gone for a couple of days, but days dragged on into weeks. Even if I had my phone on me, I doubt it would work. We were in the middle of nowhere. My uncle was virtually a zombie. He stayed in bed, surrounded by lots of beeping machines. My parents left for work religiously every day, and I was forced to wander this cabin alone most of the days. It seemed weird how my parents would just remove me from school and cut off my contact with everyone. When they were gone, I searched the house for my cell phone or a computer. I couldn't even find a landline. I was a prisoner here. One day, when I was exploring, I found a secret door under one of the carpets in my parents' bedroom. I found a secret room, and my heart sank when I saw what was inside. There was a landline, a PC, a whole bunch of cell phones, and a full box of old ID cards. That wasn't the weirdest part, though. All over the room, there were newspaper clippings about the very kidnapping that Susan and I had seen. The most recent date of the paper was only from a couple weeks ago. The title read, "New tips on a missing persons case brings us one step closer to bringing a missing girl home." The photo on the page was not photoshopped. It was me. Underneath me was a picture of my parents. Apparently, the couple that I had known as my mom and dad were actually my kidnappers. Before I got a chance to read more, I heard a bang. "You weren't supposed to see that," a voice said behind me. Before I could see who it was, everything went black. I don't know how long I was out for, but I woke up in my bedroom. I tried to leave, but I was locked inside. I cried and banged while my kidnappers showed up at the door. I screamed at them for lying to me my whole life. All the moving and mystery, it suddenly made sense. They didn't just steal me from my mother, they stole my childhood from me. They seemed genuinely hurt by my harsh words. They tried to tell me how they weren't able to have a baby. They were actually very close friends of my birth parents. Right before my birth father had his accident, he told them that he was afraid of my birth mother. He claimed that she had been acting very suspicious and he feared for his life. She was very mentally ill and he didn't think it was safe for me to stay with her. The day where he was supposedly going to give her divorce papers and take me away, he mysteriously had an accident. "We didn't have any other choice," the woman I thought was my mother said. "We promised your birth father that we would protect you at any costs." She was a very dangerous woman who had a lot of connections with law enforcement. Her whole family was made up of cops. They would never go against her. My parents feared a court case may push her to hurt me, so they kidnapped me and gave up their lives to try to give me the closest thing to a childhood I could have. They promised to be more open with me, but some things they kept from me to keep me safe. Now, it all made so much sense. I started to cry and promised to do as they said so we could keep our little family together. After a few months, I got used to our quiet life together. I cut my hair and used a new name, but I still tried to preserve parts of the old me. Even though my parents specifically asked me not to talk to Susan, I followed her very popular Instagram and YouTube channels. She had so many followers and her content was amazing. One day, I reached out to her. I used a pen name, but I couldn't just not talk to my best friend. To her, I was just a stranger, telling her how awesome her latest video was. At first, I thought Susan was going to ignore me, but eventually we started talking like the good old days. After a while, I got comfortable and let my guard down. I forgot that I wasn't supposed to be talking to her. In her latest post about a soda drinking challenge, I asked if she remembered the time I spilled grape soda all over my white dress in the cafeteria. Immediately, she wrote back, "OMG, I knew it was you! Where are you? It's been years! I can get the cops to you!" I panicked, realizing my mistake. I was so sad to lose Susan a second time, but I deleted all of my social media accounts. I didn't bring it up to my parents, fearing that I would lose my internet privileges again. That was not the smartest decision. A few days later, cops were banging on my cabin door. Who knew reminiscing about my cafeteria mishap would have a SWAT team at my door? Susan had called the authorities and they were able to track my IP address. My parents were put in handcuffs and my birth mother had rushed up and hugged me. I was hysterical. Everyone kept asking if I was hurt, but I was just upset they were dragging my parents away. My birth mother was hugging me and saying how long and hard she had been for me. She turned to my parents and yelled at them about how horrible they were for robbing her of her motherhood so soon after her husband's death. Her anger soon turned into fear when they shouted back that her husband had never died. That's just what she wanted people to think. When the cops asked what they meant, they told them to check out the second bedroom in the back, my uncle's bedroom. My birth mother tried to run away, but the cops stopped her. Apparently, my sick uncle had actually been my father all along. After he asked my birth mother for divorce papers, she staged his death. But my kidnappers had actually saved him and had hired people to care for him for years. They decided on the last move that we should all move in to take care of him and that they would explain everything about my past when I was old enough. "Your father was a great man, our best friend," they said. Despite whether or not they did the right thing, my parents were arrested for kidnapping on the spot. Because of the discovery of my birth father, who was reported dead, my birth mother was brought in for questioning and later charged with attempted murder. When the cops asked if I had anywhere I could go, I decided to give Susan a call. She was so happy to see me. So much had changed, but we were able to go back to our friendship as though it was normal. We are currently working on an indie documentary about my life and are both in film school together. I still visit my parents in prison from time to time, and my birth father in the hospital, but he's not getting any better. I've seen my birth mother a couple of times since everything happened, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to have a relationship with her.